and welcome to the Gamers Table. It is Monday, and we're reviewing Beowulf, the movie board game that has nothing to do with the movie.
Never seen the movie. Doesn't help me. Didn't hurt me.
In Beowulf, the movie board game, each player strives to tell the most epic version of the Beowulf saga. To this end, each player takes control of Beowulf himself, guiding the hero and his companions to recount the chronicle in the most exciting way possible. As they play, players try to score as many saga points as they can. Players can score saga points by placing their figures in rows and columns that contain boons, while avoiding rows and columns cursed by perils. The game is divided into 3 acts. Each act revolves around one of the enemies Beowulf faces: the murderous Grendel, Grendel's treacherous mother, and the mighty dragon. Each act is played on a different board. As the game proceeds, the options and opportunities multiply, as do the dangers. After all three acts have unfolded, the player with the most saga points wins.
It's a fun game. There's definitely a lot of screw you factor. It's a tile placement game that Craig liked, which is, you don't see that often. But it's pretty much you place a tile to either help or hinder, or you place a figure down for scoring points.
Saga points equaling victory points.
Victory points. Yeah,
Yes.
just to call it something different, right?
But there is no track around the board this time.
No, just a whole lot of tokens.
Yes.
Beowulf, hunting down Grendel's mother and the dragon, and in between that, feasting in the Great Hall and talking about your exploits. And based on this movie, CG people running around with their clothes off all the time. Not going to find any naked butts in here. You start out by giving everybody 50 saga points. Why give them points at the start? Because you can suck so badly at telling stories that they take your saga points away from you. Sorry, Ulf, we don't believe you fought the dragon. That's a bear skin, you moron.
Or somebody could just...
Now, by telling stories, you mean
Tell your
placing
story
tiles,
sucks.
right?
Placing the tiles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically, like, we rode out with the horses. Then we drank some ale.
Arr!
Then we rode out with the horses again. Oh, we found a skull. It was frightening. It doesn't mean a damn thing.
The theme doesn't matter or anything like that. But, yeah, who cares? The game's still fun. You know, you get to the point where you got decisions to make. Do I put a figure down or do I put a tile down, draw and play a tile? Yeah, well, you can get screwed either way.
You get silver ones, and then you get
For the first
gold
round?
ones,
The second round?
then you get red ones.
For the third round.
You caught up.
The first round, you have a 25 square board. The second round, it's 25 squares, but some of them are taken up, so it's actually less on the second board, is it not?
Yep.
No, because it's 6 by 6, so it's
36.
probably still 25 on there. Actual space you can place something, and it's even bigger on the third board.
But as you see these mountains in here, break up the rows and columns.
Everybody gets this little key that tells them what all the symbols do, if your tile has a symbol. Some of the tiles don't have symbols.
A lot of them don't, actually.
And you get different tokens. You get your boats that are worth 1. You get your keeps that are worth 2. You get your man-at-arms guys that are worth 3.
And Beowulf.
And you get your hero
Beowulf.
figure, Beowulf. Well, you can't all be Beowulf. It's sort of like everybody wants to be Mo in the Three Stooges. You can't all be Mo! But your Beowulf figure is
I like Curly.
4, which basically means that row and column, you're going to multiply anything in there by 4. That also means the negative. So if it ends up as being -3 and you times 4, -12 points. Better give them saga points back, buddy. Fork them over!
All your figures, other than the boats, are a one-shot use. All your 4 boats you get back at the end of every round. So there's a lot of opportunity to add scoring tokens all over the place.
So the tiles, you'll take turns either picking up a tile and placing a tile, or placing one of your figures on one of the things on the board. There is so much douchebaggery in this game. You almost... I don't know if we could even remember all the douchebaggery.
We'll remember that movie you made on Crystal.
Oh, that was classic.
And me.
This
Mostly
one
him.
here has it is a good counsel. It's a picture of scales, and you can take one of the guys' figures and say, "Oh no, I don't think you wanted to be there. You actually wanted to be there," and cover it up so there's no way you can move it back either.
Yeah.
Moving him out of a row or column that had possibly a big score on it. There is one tile that is the
there's
golden statue.
10 in altogether here.
You play the tile down, and then are allowed to swap too. And the one they're talking about, I swapped a +5 and a -6 in it, and it moved the -6 into where Chris's guys had it
Not
4
just
times.
the -6 though. It was the -6 treachery, which
Yes.
made all positives in that row or column didn't count either.
Yeah.
It was just
So
all
it's just the
negatives.
negatives counted, and that's it. Pool baby.
Now, if you want to know how they score, you put your figure here. You would score everything in these, in the row and the column. Which,
Unless, of course, it's interrupted by one of the gorges.
yes,
Which is represented
There
by
are-
mountains.
yeah, and there's gorges in the tiles as well. You can
Yes.
place
Gorges
separation.
are down, not up, but
Yeah, well.
it's hard to represent negative space in a drawing.
There's a good difference between each stage in the game, or act of the game. I like that about this. The first act is pretty simple. It's just a square and no interference there. It just comes down to the tiles you get. And there's, some douchebaggery going in there, but not quite as much. Still pretty much face value points and stuff. Second act, you're getting into quite a bit of douchebaggery, exchanging powers and stuff like that. The golden statue is in that act, and it swaps tiles around, a couple tiles. And you've got the gorges. I think it's 3 or 4 gorge spaces in there, which divide up the columns and rows. Now, I think those should have been maybe spread out a little bit more instead of just plopped all in one chunk, but hey. And the third act is laid out completely differently. Now, there's no gorges or anything in this, but everything's on an angle instead of vertical and horizontal. And so you're looking at the rows and columns a little bit differently, which might throw some people off. Who knows?
Wrapping up for Beowulf, the movie board game.
That really doesn't have anything to do with this game. Yes. Well, I'm going to give this one... I like it. I like the way everything works in this. It's just, there is a fair bit of luck in it. You don't know what's going to happen halfway through the game. Well, I'm going to give Beowulf a 7.5.
Never seen the movie, but it doesn't help me or hinder me in this game. Page 4 really hurt. Though not actually page 4 of this rule book, page 4 of the Gamers Table rule book is what kind of did me over. Well, mainly Craig.
I wasn't particularly aiming at you. I got Ken with that too. It
Oh,
was
I
like,
had
you
one.
got
He had
the
4
worst.
guys
Yeah.
on there. And mine was a 1 multiplier. His were like 2 and
well,
whatever.
after he put the second one in there, I told him it's a really bad idea. He's the one that put 2 more
That's
in
why
there.
I tried to avoid those columns where he was in the most.
But yeah, it's a fun game. The mechanics are all good. Nothing wrong with the game. The theme, well, I don't care so much about the theme. But you would think it'd have a little bit more. Like, you're talking about telling a story in the rule book, and you're playing tiles. I suppose you could be playing a tile and getting into it and saying, oh, we went down this road on our horses or whatever, but I don't know. I don't see anyone actually doing that.
It'd be a very disjointed
It's-
story.
It's a typical Rainer Knizia game, just all mechanics. No theme, don't matter. It could be the Great Burger War of 1812. But it was fun. I give Beowulf, the movie board game, a 7.
Theme. No. I mean, there is the Beowulf, the movie theme in the rule book, and the pictures have all got flaming dragons and guys with swords and treasures and mead on them. But that's not what you're doing. You're laying tiles to set up columns and rows to give you more points and nail everybody else as much as possible at the same time.
Which is fun.
It's fun, but
Yeah.
this is just, as we said at the start, this is another game reskinned so somebody could make some more money off it. But it's a good game that we hadn't experienced in the other iteration, so, it's got that going for it. Easy to play. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's Fantasy Flight, so you're going to struggle with the rules not all being in the right place or being explained quite as clearly and succinctly as you would like. But it's all there. If you read the whole rule book through, you will get all the stuff you need to know, which is, I suppose that, we got to say that is true of most Fantasy Flight rule books. If you read the whole thing cover to cover, you will find all the rules. just they won't always be in the place you expect them to be. Fun to play, very much so, if you're in an adversarial frame of mind, because you're going to be douchebagging the other players as much as possible. That's what it's all about. I mean, Ken, in one of the rounds, spent the first third just throwing negatives to screw me and Chris up. Wasn't doing anything for himself.
Of course, I had mostly negatives in my hand all the time.
Yeah, well, there's that still.
So-
but you had that choice. You could I'm just going to mess with people all the time. I give Beowulf, the movie board game, a 7. So that's it for this episode of the Gamers Table. Tune in next week where we review another game.
That's what we do. See you later. Yeah, but at the end of each of the round, the only figures you'll get back are your ships. Everything else that you've used is out of the game.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Oh, okay.
See, we both paused to let Chris say something and he's got nothing to say.
Took the words right out of his mouth. You might be searching for in the rules. They're at the end here.
Wait.
What?
Are you telling me there's a Fantasy Flight rulebook that isn't properly organized?
Yes.
That never happens.
No.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.